Hey Sam, guess what?
What?
Slavin's got his gold, but now he's after silver.
Yes, he is. Oh man, Andrew, it is good to be back. Obviously, those who are watching, listening, you probably thought that we might have taken just one day off of that being Monday, but again, we gave you guys pre-recorded content the past 2 weeks because kind of needed a break. And Andrew, don't you feel a lot more refreshed?
Yeah, it was great to take those 2 weeks off. Spent it watching just some incredible hockey at the Olympics, and now
Yeah,
yeah, we got to get right back into it, man. We got the trade deadline coming up soon, and it's crazy. We're gonna go from great Olympic hockey to playoff hockey in about 2 months.
I know it's going to be very fun. But like what you said, we're going to have to go through the trade deadline first, and there's still lots of rumors of us getting certain players. But remember, for those of you listening, watching, we made an episode just on that stuff, which I thought was really fun, Andrew.
Yeah, it was nice being able to just like really try to turn over every stone, even the
Yeah.
trades that when you really put any thought to it, like I really don't see that happening. But it was fun to give it kind of just a loosey goosey, touching every possible aspect. So definitely check that episode out if you haven't. I think all the episodes we did during this break had some good content for you guys. If you haven't checked it out already, please give that a listen.
Yes, really please. Especially the one with Craig Fitzpatrick, which already got released. Because I thought that was a very fun interview. Uh,
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and just what Craig has was been able to do with his circumstances and to turn it into something really just so powerful and beautiful. I think
mhm.
it's truly inspirational, and talking about hockey is great, but in terms of at least my time on this podcast, that feels like by far the most important thing we've done yet. So of the 4 episodes we had pre-recorded, definitely check that one out.
Yeah, that had a lot more meaning in
Oh yeah.
terms of the episode we did on the break. So, Andrew, let's go ahead and get this show rolling here. Uh, for those of you listening, remember we have a great partnership with SeatGeek. You get $20 off your first purchase if you use promo code Caniac Reports, all one word. It's a great deal for trying to save money on some tickets. And also remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss another episode. And also, if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcasts, please leave a rating and a review. Really, really does help us out. So, Andrew, before we even talk about the extension, the Tampa game, which was a great game, let's talk about the Olympics because obviously that's what happened during our break. And I mean, I think we kind of all knew who the final two teams were, which was USA and Canada. We surely got that. Boy, was that heck of a game.
Yeah, both the men's and the women's gold medal games were just
Yes.
absolute classics. Obviously we follow the men's game more, just being that the PWHL is still kind of up and coming, but I think the women's game is in a great place, and they really got a chance to show that. But from the men's perspective, really just an all-time goalie duel between Hellebuck and Bennington. I think in the past the Olympics have had kind of a reputation for being maybe a little bit of a softer, more the European, for lack of a better term, game. No, this was physical.
Hmm.
This was intense. I know there's probably some teams that are second guessing sending their players over, but this was the best thing for hockey. So many casual fans are going to be tuned into this more. So I think this was great for the sport and great for our country.
Yes, it definitely was. And whether I think honestly, I think whether you're a listener of and you're a fan of Canada or US or even Finland, you can tell like the players were really giving it their all for all teams. Like Aho for Team Finland. I mean, he was one of the best players, I thought.
Oh yeah, like obviously, we're Americans, so us winning gold over our rivals up in Canada, which shout out to them. That's an incredible team, and I mean they're going to stay
Oh yeah,
awesome for a long time, especially with the young guys who didn't even make the team. Like to think that roster didn't even have a Connor Bedard or a
yes.
Gavin McKenna yet is crazy. But the growth of the game in the States has obviously been huge, and I'm just really proud of our guys for bringing home the gold, and for Aho in particular. That's our guy.
He is.
It's kind of corny to say, but it's almost like we've gotten to watch him grow up. So this was like another chapter, and just like, dude, I'm so proud of him because he on the biggest stage, man, he showed up, and I think that's not really that surprising. I think he's a very underrated clutch performer, even in the playoffs for us. His numbers are very good.
Yes, they definitely are, and it's just amazing. You look at the Hurricanes team that was represented in those Olympics. Like Carolina basically got a bronze, a silver, and a gold. And for those of you who are at the game tonight against Tampa, I was there too. You could actually see the medals that were being displayed. It was so cool. The line was long, Andrew. It was so cool seeing the medals in person.
Yeah, that's really cool that Slavin was or that Slavin and Jarvis were willing to show that. And how got to give a shout out to Ehlers and Anderson too. Obviously, Denmark is just based on the population size, like they're going to have a hard time competing with some of these countries. And I thought that the Danes put on a very admirable performance. Ehlers in particular had a great Olympics.
Oh yes, he really did. And like, I mean, I'm still very proud, and I know you are proud, Andrew, that Team USA won just because we're Americans. Obviously, we know politics gets involved, and you probably know as much as I do. But I mean, I'm not going to state my opinions on the whole politics stuff because I don't like talking about it. But I'm an
Yeah.
American, and I'm proud Team USA won.
Yep, we're going to stay in our lanes for politics because everyone's capable of having rational, calm.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're just going to steer clear of that. But both the men's and the women's just
They both deserve it. They really do.
Yeah, they both do. That the run that the American women went on from a defensive and goaltending standpoint is just an all-time great run. So
It is.
Just men's sports are going to get more coverage. It's just the way of the world that we know. But I really want, both those teams deserve their flowers, and I'm really proud of where hockey is in our country in general, and it's only going to keep getting better, and it needs to because the Canadians, they aren't going away.
No, they are not. And I mean, I will say one thing about, like, if I were to talk about which aspect of the game where I think USA is better at, I would say it's goaltending, slightly goaltending, but definitely defense. I think USA has better defense, all around defensemen than Canada. I think Canada has better skill than US, but I just think sound defensively, USA is a little bit better at that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think in general you can say that like the tippy top 1% of talent, Canada has the edge. They got the McDavids, they got the McCarrs, but depth wise, the United States is right there. And now you're starting to see people come out of places like Arizona in Austin Matthews. Like the game is just growing. It's just a matter of time before we have a kid from the Raleigh area crack through. Like
I'm hoping.
It's gonna happen, man. Just from the outside looking in, how much the sport has grown down there. Like as someone who wanted to play but lived in a more rural part of the state, so it just wasn't a super big option. We've talked about this before. I'm jealous in the best possible way of kids in North Carolina right now.
Oh yeah.
The Hurricanes have really invested in it. It's really cool seeing that guys like Justin Williams and like Shane Willis are like super involved with the kids. So I think the sport's just in a great state right now. Obviously there's, with anything that's going to get the microscope on it, there's a few ugly parts of the culture that we got to work out. But in general, the sport, the people involved, it's in a great place.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, Jarvis, I mean, he only got 1 point. Slavin only got 1 point. But regardless of the stats, I thought they played well. And we even saw Jarvis. I mean, obviously, Crosby got hurt. He couldn't play in the final game. But
Mhm.
because of that, I mean, Jarvis got promoted to being on the second line, which is kind of awesome from a Hurricanes fan perspective.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate when things like this happen that, like, people kind of do the what if, and I feel like Jarvis kind of caught that on a few fronts because
Hmm.
he was there because I want to say it was Braden Point gave up his spot on the roster, which shout out to him for even having the wherewithal to be like, hey,
Oh yeah.
I'm not at 100%, so I can't provide my team what I should do. I can't imagine how gut wrenching that was for him. So that's a great teammate right there, first of all. But I think Canada's going to benefit in the long term by having a guy like Jarvis be part of that program because I don't think he's ever going to be the best player on Canada, but he's still awesome, and that's a
Yes.
heart and soul guy who, I he there's guys in any line of work that when they're a coworker that just make showing up to your job easier, and that's the same with these guys too. And Jarvis just seems like a real character to be around. So I'm really happy for him that he got to have that experience. And yeah, I'm glad that he got stuck with the silver. I hate to say it.
I am too, but I mean we're Americans. Like what do you expect, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, listen, to any of our Canadian listeners, you are our brothers. You have been our best allies throughout the entire, well, not the entire history of the country, but in recent history of the country. But if there's a vulcanized piece of rubber between us, you are dead to me for 3 periods, and I would expect them to say the same thing.
Yes, exactly. And also, I mean, the US too, it's been since 1980 since they won the gold. And it's funny, it was on that exact same day where they won the gold back in 1980, Andrew. And the exact same day for the whole David Ayers game. So it's just pretty funny that happens on that exact same day with the Hurricanes, David Ayers game, and then the two Olympic gold winners for USA.
Yeah, you're our friends who like the conspiracy theories about we're living in a
Yeah.
simulation are going, see, look at me
Yep. Yep.
there.
I still find it cool. I'm not a part of the conspiracy theories. That's just me though.
Oh
But
no, it's
and
not as funny.
yeah, I know. It is funny though. But Andrew also happened during the Olympics. From the Canes related news, we only have one piece of news. Um, Hurricanes did have their gala recently, so I mean that was another piece of thing. But I'm sure everybody had fun there. But the biggest thing that we all know is Brandon Bussi gets extended for 3 years at, and I had to look at the number quite a few times. $1.9 million, Andrew. That is robbery from Tulski. Robbery.
Yeah, Tulski just continues to impress. I think I was a little surprised that Bussy wanted to sign for 3 years. Obviously, he's been through a whirlwind of a career at this point. Having basically his rookie season at 27.
Hmm.
So even just getting what is 1.9 might be small in the NHL world, but that's life changing money, and he gets some stability for 3 years. But even if even if this whole run winds up being a bit of a flash in the pan, as long as he stays an NHL backup level goaltender, that's a great contract and
Yes, it
a guy
is.
that the locker room loves. So, I mean, short of him just absolutely imploding, which I don't see happening, I think it's a great deal. And you're looking at going into next season with him and PK likely as your rotation for, I think, under 4 mil. That's a crazy piece of work by this front office.
It is because I mean, Andrew, you and I know there are several teams in this league that pay their goalies so much. A great example, Florida with Sergei Bobrovsky, like he gets paid 10 million, and we only pay. I mean, heading into next season, we have two goalies in Bussy and Kochetkov, and it's a total of 3.9, not even half of Bobrovsky's contract.
Yeah, and I like that you bring up the Bob Browski contract because hindsight's 2020, obviously, but let's not forget that 3 years ago that was talked about like it was the worst deal in the league, like not that long
Oh
ago
yeah,
until this
it
run.
was.
So you can't say anything bad about it now. I think Bob
No,
Browski
gosh,
has
no.
become a first ballot Hall of Famer in these last few
Mm-hmm.
years, but. Yeah, 1.9 for Bus, 2 for PK. Both guys look like they have potential to be bona fide starting goalies in this league, and you're going to be going into the future with both of them while riding out Freddie Anderson for the rest of this year. I mean, there's probably 25 teams in the league that would kill to be in the spot that the Hurricanes are in right now.
Oh yeah, and I do have a question for you, Andrew, because I mean it's 1.9 million. Obviously, there's some signing bonuses in there. I think the last year of his contract, he has like a no team trade clause of modified team trade clause. I think it's only like 10 teams, but I think. Would you thought it would have been higher if he had a proven track record where like he had an actual history of playing very, very good hockey in the NHL? Because I think it would have been
For
a higher
sure.
contract.
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, there's still some what if with Bussi, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been a big enough sample size that I think we can all say, like, okay, he definitely doesn't suck. Like, I don't think he's gonna, turn into a complete pumpkin next year, but we'll see how the rest of this year plays out. But there's a chance they may still need to go get a bona fide starter, but there's also just the chance that Bussi, just because of where he got drafted, being in the Bruins system and that just run of just great goaltenders coming in and out of there, he just got kind of lost in the shuffle, and that does happen sometimes. So you got to imagine maybe, if Boston doesn't draft a Jeremy Swayman and they still have Bussi in the organization, he might be in Boston right now getting paid even more. But, things worked out great for us in Carolina, and I'm happy he's here.
Yeah, and it was also property of Florida right before he came here. Imagine if Florida had Bobrovsky and Bussi, Andrew. That would suck for the league.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, luckily the rest of that team, well, not luckily, you don't want to wish injury on anybody, but the rest of that team has fallen off. So this year wouldn't have been that much help, but
True.
yeah, the rich get richer because they even had Spencer Knight on the team, who they traded to the Blackhawks, and he looks like he's a legit goalie too. So
yep.
I guess when you got guys like Bob Roski in that, you can stand to let these dudes go. But that is a crazy. It's just crazy how some teams find a way to just consistently have a position locked down.
I know it really is. Now, I don't think the Tampa game is the best example of Bussi's performance because I think he's had better games, but regardless, he still made epic saves.
Mm-hmm. And this was a great game that is kind of a case in point of like, you don't need every game to be a shutout. Sometimes you just need your goalie to make those couple of big saves in the third period. And in a 5-4 game, he did that. And the defense in front of him, while sloppy at times, Miller and Nikishin in particular, I can think of a couple of big stick checks that they did in this game. So while this game was rusty, I think we are seeing signs of guys like Miller and Nikishin starting to come around, and Bussi, we know what he's capable of doing. So even if it's a sloppy game like this, you make those few big saves in the third period. That's really what you need.
Yes, definitely. Well, I know we already talked a little bit about the game already, Andrew, but let's get to a sponsor and then we will recap the game more in detail. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props and live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers, bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026. NHL. All rights reserved. Okay, so right before we start recapping the game, I kind of forgot to say this, but because of us talking about the Olympics a lot, there's not going to be any NHL news. I know you guys probably already know that, but we're going to start with NHL news on the next episode because there were a couple of trades right after the break ended.
Yeah,
I was about to say during the break. I was like, nope.
Yeah, we touched on the Panarin one the last time we got together, so I think we at least covered the major one. So we'll circle back. I mean, the way things are going to go by Monday, we might have some more big trades to talk about because I think it's going to come quick.
Oh, I do too. And who knows? I mean, we've had this before, Andrew, where most of the trades happen before trade deadline day, and trade deadline day is like quiet.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is 2 seasons in a row now with the Canes last year with Rantanen and now this year with the Wild and Quinn Hughes, where the biggest name on the trade market goes way before the deadline. Obviously, with Rantanen, he got flipped again, but still for 2 seasons in a row for big players to get moved like that so early, that's I think that's a sign that GMs are starting to get wise to the fact that if you can get your team a few extra games to gel, that's really important. And even going back to the 06 Canes team where Jim Rutherford was the GM, he made those trades early to bring in guys like Doug Weight, and it paid dividends. But just how tight that team was, even with so many new guys that they brought into the fold.
Yep, definitely. So let's finally get to the game, Andrew. And right off the bat, Carolina looked great. I mean, you have Ehlers scoring from a great pass from Miller. It was kind of almost a breakaway-ish, and he's able to score it on, I think, Johansson. Stankoven scores a great pass from Taylor Hall, and then Taylor Hall scores from Blake and Stankoven. I mean, Andrew, that was a nice start.
Yeah, you really can't ask for much better. I think when the season started, if you pitched the idea of Ehlers being on that third line with Stahl and Martinook, we would all look at you. We would all look at Rod like he was crazy. But I mean, it seems like it's gonna work. And what's cool there is, I think that second line, I think we all kind of have circled as this is what needs to be improved on, which is interesting that line comes out of the Olympic break and is by far the best line tonight.
They were. Oh, Stankoven, Blake, and Hall were just all over it. So good. Oh my gosh.
I would still love to see at least one of those guys be bumped down to the fourth line by them bringing somebody in. I think Stankoven has proven that he might have a future at 2C. I'm still not sold that it's right here, right now, this year is the one to do it for a serious run. But the improvement he's shown has been very impressive. I worry about the effect it's had to the offensive side of his game.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Ehlers, he plays great with Stahl and Martinook. I still think he'd be a little bit more effective offensively on a different line. But he still looks great.
For sure. And what is hopefully happening now is, as he gets comfortable on that line, because, as we've talked about this a bunch too, about how, Rod's been able to put guys like Jarvis and Svech on that line in the past, and it just kind of helps them settle down and just kind of find their game, simplify it, kind of feed off how Stahl and Martin Hook play, which they're not flashy guys, but they don't cheat the game at all. They play it right every single shift. So you take a guy with the speed and playmaking ability of an Ehlers to just go with that grinding style. Maybe it's not something you want to do for an extended period of time, but as just like a mid-game shakeup in the playoffs, Rod needs to know all these different combinations he can have.
Yep, definitely agree. And while the Canes are up 3-0, Andrew, we do know their history with 3-goal leads, especially very early. And when they had that 3-goal lead, Andrew, at that time, that early in the game, I was like, please don't. But Tampa, I mean, you can tell. I mean, they came out to play, and they played the night before, which is part of the reason why we didn't see Vasilevsky. And Andrew, I'm sure there's going to be the objective of, well, Canes won because Vasilevsky wasn't in that. And my only thing to that is that, well, Tampa still has a pretty healthy team, and we're still able to defeat them.
Yeah, but you're always going to be better off with a guy like Big Cat in net. But I mean, your backup's got to win you games too. And I mean, as a team that's, to deploy to platoon since Rod Brind'Amour's got here, like your backup goalie's got to win games too. Frankly, if your team can't win a game with the Zamboni driver in net, how good are you really?
Exactly. And I mean, Brandon Bussi on those 3 Tampa Bay goals, like, honestly, I mean, the Kucherov goal, honestly, I don't blame him much on. Funny enough, I love Jacob Slavin. I still think he's one of the best defensemen on this team. But boy, did he struggle tonight, I thought. And but at the same time, I'm willing to kind of excuse it just because it's probably jet lag from being over at the Olympics on the other side of the world. I'm just going to write it off. But I think when it comes to Bussi, I think he should have had the first goal and probably the third goal too. What do you think about those goals in terms of should Bussi have stopped them?
You would want to see him get at least one. I think those both fall into that category of savable, but maybe not like a that can't go in level goal. I was worried about Bussi coming into this game, not for any long-term reasons, just because that's a long time off for a goal.
It is,
and especially against a team like Tampa, just the firepower on that team. I think there's a very real chance that's knock on wood that we get that far in the first place, but I think that might be your Eastern Conference finals matchup there. But I don't think we can read too much into this game. Either way, I came into this game fully expecting, to be honest, for the Canes to maybe even not have that great of a performance, especially with guys like Kucherov.
I was expecting that too, to be honest.
Yeah, so just an ugly win, but you could tell they knocked off Russ as the game went on. So you take the 2 points, you kind of laugh about it, and then they got some film to watch, and they got to tie it up for Saturday.
Because Saturday's going to be a very, very big game, and I mean, I kind of like I believe what you said earlier on, like the Canes. Oh man, I might have forgot about it. But I mean, kind of with the Canes being rusty, like you knew it was kind of going to happen. And Andrew, we have seen before when the Canes go on extended breaks, when they come out of that break, they usually are very rusty and don't play good. So I really wasn't expecting a win in this game, but at the same time, okay. Now I remember what you said earlier. At the same time, this could be a preview of what we see in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think knowing that makes this game very, very important, even though we might expect Carolina maybe not win,
Yeah, and during the regular season, you have to take a step back sometimes and recognize circumstances surrounding a game. But
yeah, I agree.
But that being said, we were talking about this before we actually hopped on and started recording about how this felt like a very sloppy game with breaks of brilliance because
Oh yeah.
because the goals were all like not all of them, but a lot of the goals were like really pretty plays, high skilled shots, but everything leading up to it was just pee wee pond hockey looking kind of stuff. Just everyone was just a little bit off. So I think for the Canes, definitely because this was their first game back. But even Tampa, you can just tell everyone's starting to, get over either being on vacation or, trying to get up for a, game 60, whatever it is of the NHL regular season after you just played in a gold medal game like 72 hours ago. That's not an easy task.
Oh yeah, it definitely isn't. But obviously, as we continued the game, I mean, it's pretty much tied in the second period. Then you have Seth Jarvis scoring on a beautiful pass from Svechnikov. And I will say one thing about our star players in that game: this Ahos, the Jarvis, the Svetch. Honestly, it was kind of the game I would say I probably expected because I thought the first part of the game, like the first period, I thought they were a little bit quiet, but I mean, they're coming off of an emotional high from the Olympics, so I'm kind of willing to kind of write it off. But I think they really just showed, like, hey, first period, we were rusty, but we're going to be come out and be better. And I actually thought the first line played better as the game went along.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially Aho and Jarvis, you can just tell they had to get their legs back
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit. Svech though just continues to impress, and
yep.
he seems like he's kind of inching towards maybe we have to start talking about Svech as the best player on this team. He's making a case.
Oh, he's definitely is. The one criticism I have is Fetch. Score an empty net goal, please.
Yeah, no, anyone who had the Canes covering the spread on DraftKings today, yeah, that was tough, man. I've been there when the net's empty and you need them to win by 2, and they just whiff on 4 or 5 in a row.
I
That's
know, like, oh my god.
real, man.
I know we're skipping. I know we're skipping ahead in the game to the very end, but man, like I'm just like, how can you not score on all these chances that you had?
Yeah. Well, I mean, kudos to Tampa. They were laying it out,
They
blocking
were.
those shots, but still, man, there was at least 3 that should have gone in. But you know what? The empty netters, they're just insurance, but a win's a win, right?
Yes, and a win's a win, and that is the most important thing. Obviously, it was a little bit disappointing, I think, on the penalty kill. The first time around, the second time around was a lot better, but first time around, Tampa Bay made it so easy, Andrew, with Braden Point doing Braden Point things.
Yeah, I think they got caught watching Kucherov, and I
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
Kucherov was able to take advantage of that, and he doesn't need but a split second to make a crate to create space for his teammates. So, uh, you know, Tampa's got elite talent, and they showed it. You're not going to burn Hurricanes penalty kill like that too often, though. So, yeah, definitely a rusty wake up call for the boys. But you know what? It had to happen sooner or later, and Tampa's going to do it to you.
Yeah, they definitely are. They definitely have a good power play because even on the second attempt, while I thought Carolina played better, they ultimately killed it off. I mean, you could see Tampa. Like they just have a knack for making those great passes and knowing when to shoot, you know?
Yeah, offensively, they're high end skill. There's very few teams that are on their level
Yeah.
in the league. I don't know if underrated is the right word for guys like Kucherov and Getzel because obviously they're marquee names in this league.
Hmm.
But if they're playing in like Toronto or Calgary or something, they're bona fide faces of the league more so than they already now. But playing in Tampa, I feel like it goes a touch under the radar. But I think Kucherov's a top 5 player in the game still. That's just my opinion.
I think there's definitely an argument to be made for Kucherov there. But ultimately, Andrew, like we said earlier, Canes do win because on the power play, while the first power play uh, wasn't that good, second power play was a lot better. And I think there's some fortune, but obviously Aho, he makes a shot which had good velocity toward the net, and it somehow it's funny because when I was at the game, I was sitting like 4 rows up from where the benches were. So I had really good seats. I thought it went off of Jordan Stahl. I really did. But apparently, from what I heard, it went off of Johansson, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
did. Okay.
it was a puck that just went through traffic and somehow managed to miss most of the things on the way through. Um, yeah, just a great setup on the power play by Carolina. That's what we want them to do, right? That's why Stahl's out there because he's proven
Yep.
that he can create that chaos in front of the net. You know, looking back on this whole tenure of Brendan Moore, it's kind of almost like, why didn't you try this sooner? But I'm not going to critique him too
Yeah.
hard because I was not calling for Jordan Stahl on the power play for what it's worth.
No, here's the thing. I have not either. But I do think the most effective position for Jordan Stahl to be on when it comes to power play, because he's so naturally big, is just to plant him right in front of the goalie. And guess what? He did that, and Aho just threw the puck pretty much at the goal, and with a good shot. I mean, it was a decent shot, but I mean, Aho, you can tell he was a little bit surprised he was able to score that goal.
Yeah, he's got the golden touch right now.
He
So
does.
keep on a shooting fishy. I think the biggest critique we have of him is that sometimes he's a little too selfless on the ice. He wants to get his teammates going, which that's a quality that I think is going to make him a great captain of this team eventually.
Oh yeah.
But he's got such just a great shot. Not particularly great on breakaways, which is kind of funny. Well, no, he's predictable on breakaways. He loves going
Five hole every time.
Yeah, and if we're picking that up, then the goaltenders and goalie coaches who have a much more keen eye for these things than we do have definitely picked it up.
Oh yeah, they have. It's just funny because it seems like when Hollow doesn't go 5 hole, he scores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe he gets in his own head a little bit.
He does. I think he does.
Yeah, you can tell you don't want to say he cares too much because obviously that's not a possibility. But I think it's sometimes he maybe gets a little too stuck in. I have to make the perfect play.
Yeah.
Or maybe I have to set up somebody else to do this instead of just kind of having trust in his abilities. Because, is he a superstar in the NHL? That's debatable. But at worst, he's like at the very tippy top of that second tier of player. So he's a special player. And I think sometimes he needs to be reminded of that somehow.
Yeah. At worst, he's a first line player. I think that's what it is right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this about when we're talking about trades and stuff. What would you need in return to trade a bigger piece? And for me, it's can you solve the 2C position by making that Aho? Because if Aho is your 2C, that's a cup winning team.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. That only happens though with a few selected players. To be honest, like, I mean, let's say if we had McDavid, obviously would push Aho out of that first center spot. McKinnon, Draisaitl. I'm trying to think of any other centers. I'm probably blanking.
Probably Austin Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews. That's the player I was blanking on.
Yeah.
Maybe Robert Thomas. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, which I mean, that's a guy to keep your eye on because I think, man, if the Canes can manage to not touch any significant roster pieces and just use that deep prospect pool and the draft capital they have, which for how successful this team has been for a prolonged period of time. Eastern Conference Finals jokes aside, the fact that they still have so many assets that they can move this year is just great management by Tulsky and crew.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, great win, Andrew. Nice to be back. It's going to be a busy remainder of the season, trade deadline, playoffs. It's going to be very, very fun. So we will see you guys next time.